Right. Well, so this week in class, I learned about making yearly goals, hard drives, and the show is officially on Spotify and Fountain. So we'll talk about that and more in this episode. Okay, so this week, actually the last 2 weeks, I was on vacation, and that's just one of the cool things about being a teacher. Like, I remember working other jobs, and my kids would be like, "Oh, we're off," or be like, "What are you doing for the summer?" It's like, working. What do you mean, right? But as a teacher, depending on your situation, you can actually be off for the whole summer, and you're normally off on a lot of the holidays. So Christmas, Thanksgiving, spring break, and Christmas, like we were off for like 2 weeks. And then before that, we were off for Thanksgiving for a week, so it's a great way to recharge, because it's a bit of a daunting job, in a lot of ways. I didn't do a lot of, let me get some things in place for my class. And I needed that. I did need to recharge, but I think on my next break, I'll definitely set aside a day or two to do some things, not a whole lot, but just some things, So this episode, I'm probably going to talk about more personal things than school stuff. So if you're here because you want to, understand the experience of a new teacher, maybe this episode won't tell you all you want, but it'll tell you more about me. So me and my family went to Busch Gardens, which I think Busch Gardens in terms of roller coaster rides is a step up from Disney World and maybe Universal. You get to the real stuff once you go to like Six Flags and even Cedar Point. I've been there. I used to live in Detroit at one point. I actually moved to Cedar Point. I'd love for my kids to go there because they actually like roller coaster rides. I noticed something silly. Like, I think because I'm so tall, it's been a while since I actually get to swing my feet. So, I got on one ride, it was swings, and, you're sitting there and I got to swing my feet. I like swinging my feet. That's goofy. But hey, it is what it is. When we went to Busch Gardens, we stayed with some close family friends or family as far as I'm concerned. And it was interesting. Somebody that we stayed with, I've known her since she was a little girl, and she's known my kids since they were little kids. You know what I mean? She was there when they were born. So she was so excited for us to stay at her house. You know what I mean? And for her to serve us and take care of us. She was so happy about that. And it just made me think like, man, so often we put time and energy trying to develop relationships with people who may or may not want that from us. And Mary, how are you? So good to see you. Thank you for listening. We need to talk. It's been forever. But we spend so much time and energy trying to cultivate relationships with people who may not necessarily want those relationships with us. And I remember the first time, it was a few years back, I would hear people say this thing, and they say, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And when I first heard it, I just kind of shrugged it off because I thought it felt self-serving, you know what I mean, and maybe a little snobbish. But I grew up some. And as I grew up, I realized, yes, you should be where people want you to be there, not where people will accept or deal with the fact that you're there, and just being with that family member made me say, wow, okay, let me make sure that I'm cultivating my life's garden so that I'm surrounded by situations and people that really want me around, Yes. Good. Yeah. Listen, I follow you. You know, we all follow each other on social media. I will say, Mary, that social media makes us feel like we're more connected with people than we are. And I have to do a better job of making sure I call or text or email every now and then so there's a personal touch. Because it's like we watch each other's kids grow up. I think what's funny with like, especially like Facebook, you'll watch somebody's child grow up and you feel like you know them. You've never even spoken to the child, but you see so much, you know what I mean? So it's like we got to make sure we reach out and actually touch people because it's easy to forget to do it, you know? But yes, and again, I would encourage you to cull your social spaces and make sure that that's in your space is somebody who actually thoroughly enjoys your company, wants you to be there. If anybody's face is frowned up in your space, fire them, kick them out. You know, you can start for that for next year. So one thing, yes, please send me your new number. One thing that I worked on for maybe about a week or so, and I'm still really tightening it up for my goals for the new year. I got quite a few, but I do have a couple paradigms in terms of or approaches to how I want to manage my goals. So one thing I want to do is I want to have consequences, right? So if I don't do the thing that I said I want to do, then I have to pay for it in some way, right? I need to be accountable for it because a lot of times with our goals that we make for the year, we make them and then we don't do them and it is what it is. But I really want to do it. So since I really want to do it, I want to make sure that I feel something when I don't, you know what I mean? So that'll encourage me to make sure I do it. That's one. And then the other paradigm is daily, weekly, and monthly actions. So some of the things that whole thing doesn't fit. Sometimes you can do daily things and weekly things, but not necessarily monthly. But I want to do consistent small actions that will move the needle in what seems like a small way, and over time is a really big way. And on that note, I am starting off the year reading a book called The Slight Edge. It's really, honestly, one of my favorite books. It's probably in my top 10 for sure, right? And that's the big message in that book, that if you do small things on a regular basis, it ends up being a huge thing, you know. So I'm looking at all of the things that I'm doing and all of the things that I want to grow in, and I'm like, okay, what can I do regularly to really push it so that I'm doing this small thing all the time and it doesn't seem like it matters, but over a year or 2 or 3, it puts me so far ahead in terms of where I want to be. So that's what I'm doing in terms of goals. And the other thing I want to do with goals is with networking, I want to deepen all of the relationships that I have as opposed to broadening my network. That's what we normally do. We go to these networking events and we collect a bunch of business cards that we don't follow up on. And I'm like, okay, I already know people. That's another book that I like, The Power of Who. I'm actually working through a workbook for that right now. And the idea is, in order for you to get where you need to go, you probably already know all of the people that you need to know. But they don't know what you need, and they can't use their network to get you what you need. So you need to regularly reach into your network and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need. And it's not about begging or sales. It's just about making sure you're in touch with people. So, and then your network is concentric circles, right? You know, so the smaller circle is closest to you, that's less people. You touch them more often. Then it goes out. You know, that's a slightly higher number. You touch them pretty often, but not as often as the people in the smallest circle. And then, you know, wider it goes from there. So it's it's important to me to make sure that I'm really deepening, some of the great relationships that I have already. One thing that I wanted to do. Okay, so cool thing is if you listen to us or me, if you listen to me on Spotify, if you listen to your podcast on Spotify, This Week in Class is now on Spotify. So right now I have a ton of episodes on Facebook, and I am migrating them all to YouTube and then other podcast platforms. So that's fun. I'm excited about that. Personally, I listen to my podcast on Fountain. If you want a referral link, I can send you that. I like that because you can listen to podcasts and earn Bitcoin as you listen. That's a win for me. All right. While I was on vacation, I was supposed to upload more podcast stuff. Oh yeah, because like I said, I'm at this is episode 20 and 21, and on YouTube I think I'm only on episode 6, and I was gonna do that on vacation, but then I had a hard drive fail. Womp womp. So I had to replace that and all that. The good thing is, so two things that are pretty cool. One, so because I'm a photographer and I need to make sure I have all my stuff, I actually have a backup system. I use something called Backblaze. If you want information about that, let me know. And Backblaze, it's not cloud storage. It's just a backup. So whatever's on my computer, they mirror that. And if something fails, I can actually pull everything down, to a new drive and move on with my life. So everything is safe and duplicated. So that's pretty cool. And I like that. But doing some homework, I'm like, all right, all of these drives fail. And I wanted something better. So I was looking at something called network attached storage, right? So it's like a little box, and it has bays for you to add hard drives in, right? The one I'm looking at has 4. So you put, and a lot of people, not even SSDs, but regular HDD hard drive, right? It's old school spinning hard drives. You'll get a 12 terabyte hard drive, but you get 4 of them. You put them all in there. All of your stuff just goes on the 112 terabyte drive, right? But it's copied on the other 3. So if one of those fails, then you simply take the one that failed out and put a new one in there. If, let's say, you get to the point where you're like, I'm at 11 terabytes, I'm probably going to go over. You can actually replace one of your hard drives with a 20 terabyte hard drive. All right, Mary, thank you for listening. Take care. Talk to you soon. You can replace it with a 20 terabyte hard drive, move the stuff from the 12 to the 20, and then replace the other 3 12s with the 20. I'm so excited about that. The coolest thing about that, like I said, it's network attached, right? So that is connected to your internet in your house. Now you're running your own cloud, okay? So I don't have to have all these hard drives and things on my desk. I can pull stuff from that drive if that's how I want to do things. And if I'm away from home, same situation. I can actually go into my cloud and pull my own things down. I'm so excited about that. So, and then I can take that same NAS storage device and back that up with Backblaze. Crazy, right? So pretty excited about that. What else we got? So I did, like I said, because I'm a photographer, did a photo shoot the last day before I came back from vacation. So that was nice, just to kind of be in my element, doing my thing. One thing I remembered was that, so if you, now I can't answer for, let me look. I have I have a consumer grade camera right here. I don't think they normally have that on consumer cameras, but for professional cameras, they have a thing called a diopter. Oh, okay, I got this old camera here. I can probably show you here. All right. See right here, Can you see? Let me see. Yeah. Where's my finger? Yeah. Right here. There's a little dial right there, right? And if you can dial that in based on your vision. So you can actually move it, and what'll happen is it'll, just like when you go to the eye doctor and they have the little thing and they say, 1 or 4, 1 or 4, all that. The diopter will actually make it easier for your eye to see. So I don't actually need glasses when I have my camera. Now if I take the camera away from my face, you ask me to read something, forget about it. You know what I mean? But looking through the eye view, I'm good to go. And the cool thing is, because my camera I have a mirrorless, right? So the eye viewer is actually electronic. So if there are things on there that I did need to read, instead of me looking at the screen, I can actually look through the eye viewfinder and I can read it, because the diopter is dialed into my vision, right? The other thing that I did that I'm really working on is doing more video. I personally want to do more video. 1 with my phone, 2 with my camera. So I actually did some phone stuff, which still getting used to. I think when you have your camera and you're in professional photographer mode, you are really, it's a switch to use your phone, so I'm trying to get better at it. One thing I do want to acquire that I haven't is just to pick up a phone tripod, so that way while I'm shooting I can create BTS behind the scenes footage for myself. So one thing that I didn't do, this week in class, what are you talking about? One thing I didn't do that I wanted to do, I just didn't make the time to do it, maybe I'll do it for spring break, was make a little video for my students saying, hey, I missed you, looking forward to getting back to work, etc. Just so I can kind of make sure that they know that I'm a part of their lives, and it's not just, when we're in school. I want to kind of make sure I'm always touching base in that way, so they're always kind of thinking. But I just didn't make the time to do it. It's vacation, so it is what it is. But yep. So one thing we do that? No. That's I'll talk about that next week. So yep, that is everything that I learned in class for vacation, week 20 and week 21. So if you want to donate to my class, of course, and I'd be delighted if you did, thank you so much. I have a link to my class wish list. So those are kind of some of the things that we need. So helpful. Also, treasure box. I'm trying to figure out what I should do. I reward the kids. I do more candy. I think I want more stuff and toys, right? But most stuff and toy situations are like one at a time, right? Does anybody know where I could buy a bag of random things that second graders would like? You know what I mean? So I get it all at once instead of buying one of these and one of these and one of these. That can get expensive, So if you know something, knock yourself out. I'm happy if you post it in the comments. And I actually have an email address now, so I'm going to change. If you look at the older podcast, it has a Mr. Allen School Teacher at Gmail. I'm like, dude, why don't you just have this week in class at gmail.com? I don't know why I didn't have it, but I have it now. So you can send me information at thisweekinclass at gmail.com. Y'all take care. Signing off, your friendly neighborhood second grade teacher.